discussion about,
Sure.
and your last name is pronounced Malib, right?
Yeah, Malay is fine. Yes.
Is there a better pronunciation for it than that?
No, there are sounds that don't exist in
Right.
English.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's
Yes.
let's
Yes.
stick with Malib. It's
Yes.
fine.
I remember a couple of years ago, I was listening to an NPR thing about the name Amar, and that you can say it in two different ways, and it would determine where you're from in like Iraq, what part of
Yeah.
Iraq you were from, and
Right.
I could not tell the difference when they were saying like, "Oh, it's clearly the difference." I'm like, I don't know what would I do?
Yes,
All
very
right.
true,
Well,
very
we
true.
are probably live now. Hello, everybody out there in wherever you are on the internet. Welcome to Hashed Out Spotlight. I'm one of your hosts, Dan Tark. I'm here with Jodah Jensen, my co-host, and we are going to be talking with Hadi Malaeb today, who is an investor at Agora Group. You're the CEO of Agora Group, right?
Yes, co-founder
And
and
so,
CEO.
What is Agora Group exactly?
Okay, great. So Agora Group is basically the name Agora comes from a Greek word meaning a place of gathering where the ancient Greek used to get all together to debate ideas, talk
mm,
about politics, and do business. And that's exactly what we try to do at Agora. We try to create platforms for people to exchange ideas, to debate, and to do business. Our mission is twofold. One is to help companies raise funds, and the other one is to help companies expand into the MENA region.
Into
So
I'm
that's
sorry,
our
into
main,
what region?
the MENA, Middle East and North America.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. So that's our main goals, our main mission, and we deliver that through live events, live platforms.
nice. And so, what kind of debates do you have in those meetings? I mean, I guess what is the setting of these meetings? Because I know you work internationally, right? Because
Yeah,
part of your mission is to connect businesses across the globe. So I
right.
imagine most of these meetings are online, or are they live, or in person, or
And
We
does it
no,
involve wrestling at all? I'm just you got
no, but
oil
that
wrestling?
that could be a great addition. That's a great idea to create new revenue streams.
That's
Um,
what Joda and I do, but we only do that on OnlyFans.
well, we're sticking with the Greek theme. I'm trying to think of the Greek theme. Sticking with it. All right.
actually, right now, actually, most of our platforms are physical platforms. So, actual events, physical events where people gather, physically and actually talk to each other.
Okay.
But we also offer those services on a digital platforms as well. So, just to give you an example, uh, and you ask also what type of debates or what type
Yeah.
of what do they debate exactly. Our events, we have a series of events called the Disruptors series. And these are events that talk about disruptive technology in different verticals. So we have, for
Okay.
example, the Healthcare Disruptors Congress, we have the Education Disruptors Congress, we have the Cybersecurity Disruptors Congress. This is all around, well, we try to put the idea out there that, things are not working like they used to, um, because of a conversion of multiple breakthrough in technology, and we need to change everything basically to adapt. So that's
That's
basically the whole premise
Interesting.
behind. Yeah,
I'm hearing the word
Yes.
disruption a lot, like a
yeah,
lot,
yeah.
right?
Joda
And,
does
and
not like disruption.
well, and then there's also the word innovation we hear a lot and stuff. And so,
Yes.
in the early days, disruption was used as both provocative or disrupting, but also as considered purely positive for the most part. We're going to make the world a better place. Why disrupt? What's the need for disrupt?
The word disrupt was, personally picked because I wanted to invite debate. I wanted people to ask me, why the hell are you calling this the healthcare disruptors? Why is it the healthcare innovation or the healthcare digitization forum? And I wanted to stir that debate. And I said, because disruption goes beyond modification or adaptation. It goes beyond that. It is not only about technology. It is about how the end result will look like and what is the process to get to that end result. So I did want to use that word specifically, disrupt.
Interesting. And I think also disruptors, I mean, you're not always in control of them, right? I mean, they kind of
Right.
emerge from the complexity of the world, and sometimes the disruption is it's just there, right? You're not necessarily producing it; it's producing itself based on the multiple variables coming together. So, in that light, what are some things that are disrupting education, for instance, that you're talking about? I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so we're just now finalizing the program of our Education Disruptors Congress, and what we wanted to do is we wanted to have an event or a conference that looks at the entire learning process of a human. So we didn't want to invite only educational institutions, universities, and most of the conferences that you go out, that are targeting education in particular, are very segmented. You either go towards primary education, secondary education, or universities and post universities. So each one of them have their own conferences here and there. What we wanted to do with our event is to look at the entire learning process of a human, from the day that you're born, your formal education, the education that you get on the job, the education that you get on the, and we wanted to emphasize the fact that we continuously need to learn, unlearn, and relearn new things. So we wanted to talk about education, the formal process. We wanted to talk about talent development and corporate training. So these two segments coming together, and we wanted to talk about the technologies that are changing all these things together. So we wanted to, I mean, artificial intelligence is the big white elephant in the room in
What's that? I've
education.
never heard of that before.
Yes, exactly.
Artificial what?
Yeah, I mean, and it
Insanity,
is
artificial insanity, Dan. That's AI.
yeah. And
Oh, okay.
it's a scary technology to a lot of people, because they don't know the extent of how it can actually impact life as we know it. Elon Musk just recently said that there might not be paid jobs anytime in the future. So I mean, can it go to that extent? I don't know, but I really want to be at the center of that conversation. I really want to know what people that are much smarter than me are saying about these things.
That's Can I interject on that? So you're
Sure.
exploring this notion, disrupting and bringing it in education and other things. And Dan and I have had conversations in previous episodes of that we've done in other shows around education and the false, I'm gonna use the word quotes, false dichotomy of work, basically, right? There's this, we've had this bifurcation. You're educated, now you're doing. Where in my world, and I do work in the security space, and because I'm also a part of the experience and product design sides, in my world, it's a constant iterative process, right? I do wonder, is the world in the future a different place other than this bifurcation of education versus now you're producing, right? Because then you got to come up with the words and the language that reforms or disrupts this universe. And the concepts that, like Elon Musk, it's one of the reasons I actually appreciate a lot of things he says, because he says things that are really provocative, but also make a lot of sense when you start thinking when work can be done, labor can be done by machines, by AI. So what's the place for the human? Where do you find this relationship between education and work? And are you playing with that when you're disrupting? And do you think that there's going to be casualties along the way?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. Elon Musk is definitely a disruptor because he changes or he says things that makes you question what you thought were fundamental, unchanged truths. And that's what I like about him. I don't agree with everything that he says, of course, but I mean, he does stir a lot of ideas that you wouldn't have probably thought of if it wasn't being presented in the way that he presents it. Now about the education and the job and learning and all these things in general. I mean, the institutions of learning were set up a long time ago, and they were set up to produce laborers and basically qualified labor to certain industries. And these industries have changed tremendously in the last 100 years, while the education institutions are still very anchored in almost the same way that we have been learning for the last 100 years. You get a classroom, you get a person who delivers information, you get pupils who are trying to absorb this information. And I think this is what we want to disrupt. Even the way that this information exchange is taking place. A lot of people right now are saying that people don't learn as well if they are sitting, as opposed to moving around and playing. Physical movements when you are being taught something is much more effective than an environment where you're just sitting down and absorbing. There was statistics that says that it takes 100 repetition, for example, for you to know how to do something. If you're doing this while playing, it takes 10 repetition to produce the exact same result. So the concept of the event that we wanted to do is definitely not only technology driven, but we want to look at these things as well. How is it that we are now teaching people?
Well, I work in higher education. I'm actually a dean of a library, and one of my roles is professional development, training faculty on teaching. And I think first I will agree with you. Higher ed is slow moving. It's moves at the speed of molasses to make any change, right? But there is a growing mindset change around education and higher ed, around active learning and doing what you're talking about. Flipped classrooms would be a great example, where you put the content online where people can watch the videos and the lectures, but the classroom and person time is spent with the active learning and group work and constructivist based learning, so that people are building skills by working together and collaborating.
Yeah, what about wrestling while learning? How about just wrestling? And
wrestling by learning, that's what we do to warm up. I mean, that's kind of the icebreaker in class. Get up and wrestle the person next to you.
Yeah, that's good.
I've got lots of complaints about that and a couple of Title IX investigations, but it's cool.
Right. I can imagine. It's all's good over here. Don't worry about it. We're clothed.
But it's a fascinating thing, and I'm definitely interested in how technology interfaces with it too, because from a tech ed perspective, what I keep starting to preach is, and I didn't make this up, but the ed needs to come before the tech, right? You need to understand how people learn and how they develop knowledge and use knowledge before applying the tech, because the tech really still needs to support the learning. Whereas right now, I think because of AI, a lot of people are just fixated on the tech and alarmed by the tech. But we need to start getting the ed first and then have the tech support the. So when I say that, I see you kind of had a thoughtful look on your face. So what's your response to that claim of mine?
Okay.
Oh
no, he did not like that response at all.
Pissed.
he said, "F this, I am out."
Like, this guy does not know what he's talking about.
Okay,
well, hashed out, folks. I will continue pontificating about ed tech and AI.
Well, and I will say that you bring up that question that I'm always kind of bringing up about the humanity. Oh, here he comes. All right, Hadi, you're back.
We thought you were mad at us.
Yeah, sorry. Apologies.
No,
Hadi
I'm
has
in
a
Lebanon,
heart.
and the internet connection is not the best these days, so you have to bear with me.
Oh yeah, totally. It's one thing we've learned over the last 4 years: how to bear with technology.
Hello?
Hello, you hear us?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you hear us?
Yes, now I can hear you. I was saying that I apologize because I'm in Lebanon and the internet connection is not the greatest these days. So
Yeah, we
I
heard that.
really
Yeah.
apologize for that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
no
okay.
problem.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So let's just resume where we left off. So I made that claim about ed tech, and I think you had a reaction to that. I saw on your face. So what's your thinking about that connection between education and tech? Should ed come first? The tech just be supporting the education, or should we be thinking about it differently?
No, I think I always look at tech as a support mechanism, a tool to achieve what needs to be achieved. It's not an end by itself. And it's the same thing for in the education or in the, I keep saying education, but I mean learning. I mean learning in general, not only because education is a little bit more formal, but I'm talking about the entire learning process of a person throughout his or her entire lifespan. So, I mean, technology is extremely important, but it shouldn't be. I mean, it should be a support mechanism to help us learn better.
Is it learning? Okay, that's interesting. And Dan and I were talking. We're about to broach this subject while you're out. Sticking with Dan's thought about supporting education versus tech.
Mm.
It's we talk about tech, and of course people automatically think of the computer ahead of them, or they might think of nuclear energy. And when you talk about disruption, how do I say this? Aren't we fundamentally, the goal of all this fun innovation is to make our world a better place? I don't think that's a hippie statement. I don't understand otherwise why we're doing this. It really
Right.
probably isn't about making money. That's an alignment issue of value. But really, aren't we trying? I hope so, trying to make the world a better place. Are we leaning too heavy on tech? Aren't there other, or when I say tech, like digital tech, are there other inventions that transcend the need for a computer to make this world a better place? Models, approaches, thoughts, approaches in governance, approaches in society, and probably would leverage tech. But are we leaning too heavy on tech?
I think that's also a great question. If you look at tech and the biggest impact on tech that we have witnessed in terms of transportation. So again, let's step away from the laptop in front of you and let's talk about tech in a much more comprehensive way, and take a little bit of an overview or a distant view of what tech has done lately in transportation, in healthcare, in communication, in energy. You can definitely see that there are measurable degrees of improvement in all of these aspects. However, this has to be tied into, for better word, philosophical changes, because at the end of the day, if technology is not meant to improve human lives, then it's completely worthless, or it's irrelevant. So let's look at healthcare, for example. I mean, there has been huge advancement in healthcare lately. How do you measure that? By the increased lifespan of people, by the improved quality of life as you get older and older. However, has technology been able, for example, to bridge the gap between how poor people get treatment and how rich people get treatment? Has it been able to create a better leveled field between how a person gets treated in Zimbabwe and how the same person can get the treatment in Paris? No, it hasn't, because I mean, technology is just a tool if it's not supported by an entire ecosystem of political and social structure to help it towards its ultimate goal, which is the improvement of and the betterment of human life.
So it's not to serve the AI overlords. We do.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting back to what Musk said about the disruption of AI and machine learning in terms of the workplace and putting people out of work. Do you see that? Isn't that just going to increase the economic disparities that we're seeing if the government's not intentional about addressing them?
Mm,
Um, I'm kind of answering my own question because I think it would. It's interesting that Biden administration came out with an executive order on AI about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Um, and I think, and they also now have released an AI Bill of Rights, which
mm,
seems to be some initial steps to say by the signal we're going to start taking this seriously, this disruption,
mm,
and
mm,
they've many cabinet appointee or cabinet directors have been directed to start research and developing reports on how their particular agency is going to respond to AI. And they're going to also create a whole nother layer, of course, another layer of bureaucracy with a bunch of AI administrators and stuff like that within these bureaucracies.
mm.
So it seems like the government's going to start responding. I think that's good and
Scary.
bad. And well,
Scary.
yeah, it is scary because that's going to stifle innovation. But the concept when you have people like Musk and even the guys that I forget his last name, Sam, whatever, the guy who founded OpenAI, saying like, yeah, it could put a lot of people out of work. That's a scary
Friedman?
prospect.
Sam Friedman? Is it Sam Friedman? Yeah, I think it's Sam Friedman. Yeah. All right.
Sam Friedman.
No, maybe not.
So what do
Dan,
you think?
I want
mean,
to before you go, I want to also say it's not just that it stifles innovation when you have a government potentially get involved. The bureaucracy itself can stifle society too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at DMV. You can slow things down. You can.
I love the DMV. I just hang out there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can read. You're right. It's a good place to read and finish a book. It's an awesome. Yeah. Anyways.
I think what's happening in the artificial intelligence space right now is just fascinating. I just attended a conference last week about legal implication of AI, and what happens, for example, is an AI machine or a robot or whatever, is it a legal entity, or is it is it a person? Can
Does
you
it have
sue
rights?
them? Yeah, can you sue them? I mean, if it is operating on a human and it kills the human, who's responsible for the death? Is it the hospital? Is it the robot? And is it the guy who created the program? I mean, there's so many things right now that have to be looked at completely differently. And that's why I think artificial intelligence is not like all other disruptive technologies. It's not like augmented reality. It's not like blockchain. It's not like big data. It's leading us toward some really fundamental changes that we cannot even predict yet. I mean, this thing can change life so dramatically that it is really, I don't think that anybody can understand the potential right now. And I think this is why, even though I know from an entrepreneur perspective, we all hate when government starts sticking their hands into innovation. But this thing, I mean, if we don't try to build an infrastructure that can support it and make it a little bit more predictable, I don't know where it can lead us. I mean, there's really no telling where
hell. We're going to hell. It's a fact. I mean, it's take us. And you brought the word response.
Just a quick remark here. Americans and North Americans in general. I lived in Canada for a very, very long time, and they always have a very negative way of seeing government intervention in anything.
Canada does?
Sorry?
Canada does?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of at least from the entrepreneur side, let's say.
Okay.
I've had the chance to live in the UAE for the last around 20 years, right? And Dubai is extremely I mean, the government is extremely involved in every aspect of life, from regulatory perspective to social perspective to financial perspective. However, the place runs like the best run company in the world. So government intervention is not always slow and cumbersome and reactive. It can be sometimes very proactive extremely fast, even faster than private enterprises, um, and can be at the forefront of innovation, and can be an accelerator itself to innovation.
We
And
should talk
to
about that a little bit, but I do want to, real quick, before we move on, whether something we want to go to, you mentioned the notion of accountability. And as you were saying that, it made me think a lot of this technology that we're coming out with is subsequently creating a diffusion of accountability. For example, blockchain, with the desire for the automated systems and things to happen without interventions of a human. When things go south, who's to blame? I mean, Sam Bankman-Fried might have been close to getting off because I'm not accountable. It's an algorithm or something. And AI, car runs somebody over. I'm not accountable. What's
Well,
the
Sam Bankman-Fried moms would say we live in a deterministic universe. Barbara Fried, that's her position.
We live in
a that she's a hard determinist, so she doesn't believe in blame, right, at all.
So that's interesting. So what are we just trying to create a blameless? Like, are we trying to remove accountability from the system and structure altogether?
There's a movement toward that, especially on the far left.
So what does that mean for Like, what does that mean for like legal action? You know, I mean, are we in our intentions to create this new world? Are we removing the accountability when things go south? There's no one to point a finger at, and so people can just do what they want to do. Is there concern there?
I think this is a little bit far-fetched. I mean, there's always been movement throughout history towards complete anarchism, and then to the other side of the equation where you have basically everything is regulated by entities, whether it is a central government or religious entity or whatever it is, or even within a family or a tribe, right? So you have those two extremes that has existed throughout history, and I don't think that's going to change. That debate is gonna continue, no matter what, and no matter how much technology. The problem is, and that's a little bit similar to truth in the news, for example, or false news, or this has been a huge problem lately. False information, fake news, and all these kind of things.
It's my favorite kind of news is fake news.
Well, you know what? It's this issue has always existed. It's just been amplified right now by social media. I remember
Yellow
when I
journalism.
was to go to yes. When I used to go to university in Canada, I used to work at a like a 7-Eleven, a grocery store. And one of the best-selling newspaper used to be called National Enquirer,
the Weekly
or
World
something
News.
like that. Yes,
Weekly World
about
News.
aliens
Bat Boy.
here, and yes, exactly. And now it's the same kind of news right now, just amplified a billion times because of the social media outreach. So I mean, those debates that are fundamental to society in general are being amplified and are being championed by people that don't understand half of what they're saying, and this is not going to stop.
Well, maybe accountability is society 1.0. I don't know. Maybe accountability is not even the word.
When you have distributed systems, I mean, yeah, accountability is hard, So what we say in higher education, the great thing about a committee is there's nobody to blame for the decision.
It's true for all committees, it seems like, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So,
that's very true.
It's like who's at fault? No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's hard to blame people. Yeah. So I think we want to get into what do you do? So you have these disruptor meetings with your company, right? Where you identify disruptions in society, but your company is really about connecting people across the globe, companies across the globe to do business.
Right.
How do you do that? How does that emerge from these disruptor sessions?
Okay, so the disruptive series are usually they have two components to it. There is a content component where we try to get the best speakers out there to come and talk about specific issues and debate them, and we have a commercial aspect to it because at the end of the day we want to make money. And usually our revenue stream comes from sponsors who are usually tech companies that are involved in these disruptive technologies, and they want to be exposed or they want to be connected to potential clients.
Nice.
And the same thing we do for when our events are investment driven. So our biggest event, which is the Global Blockchain Congress, is not about the implementation of blockchain technology and use cases of that technology. It is a pure investment platform. So this is an event that is curated towards crypto projects that are raising funds and meeting with investors that are looking to invest into blockchain-based projects. This is an event that has been going on since 2018. We were one of the pioneers to approach the subject in Dubai and in the region here. And we've done 11 editions so far in Dubai. We do this event twice or sometimes 3 times a year. The 12th edition of the event is coming up on December 11th and 12th. We've also done 2 international editions. We've done one last year in Hanoi, in Vietnam, and we've done one this year in the UK, in London. Hopefully also looking into doing a global blockchain congress in the US next year.
Awesome.
And in this particular event, we usually host around 150 institutional investors. So these are crypto VCs or crypto funds, family offices from the region here. Family offices are very big in the Middle East, and some high net worth individuals. And in a typical event, we have around 20 to 25 projects that are looking to raise funds. So these are sponsors. They sponsor the event to meet with the investors. And the events are focused on pre-scheduled and pre-arranged one-on-one meetings that take place in specific time slot during the 2-day conference.
Okay.
So the curation of the
Kind of like
curating
speed dating for
It is.
investors.
It is. And the key to it is to making sure that you qualify the investors correctly, that you get some really great project at the event, and the process of making them match is a lot of hard work, but it works. I mean, this we are the only ones that do this, and it has produced some amazing results over
Can you
the
share
last
some of those
5
results?
years.
When I'm hearing you talk about this, it sounds really exciting, especially if I were a startup entrepreneur, right? Like I could go and get some venture capitalist investment from
Right.
the crypto space. What are some success stories? What are some that kind of maybe even one that surprised you? You thought, wow, this is really exciting and surprising.
Right. Okay. So over the last 11 edition, well, if you take into consideration the 2 international ones, so 13 editions so far, we've been able to raise more than around $750 million for the startups that have attended the event. Our success rate or our hit rate is around 65% of the
Okay.
people or the project that attend the event are able
Can
to
you
raise funds.
define?
And
Can you
that's
define
extremely high.
success? What do you mean by success?
Yes, is at least to raise a minimum of $250,000. That's how we defined it.
Okay.
And let me go through the process very quickly because I think it's this is what makes it different. So as I mentioned, we have 150 investors, and let's say, for example, we have 20 projects. Each project come in at a different sponsorship level, and depending on the sponsorship level, they have a certain guaranteed meetings with the investors. They get all the normal benefit of sponsoring a conference, logo, speaking opportunities, branding, all these things that you get from a normal conference. But they also get a certain number of pre-scheduled and pre-arranged meetings. So, and the mechanism is this: we send the full database of the investors to all the projects a couple of weeks before the event takes place. The database is broken down, so they have the name, the contact detail of every investor, their title, what type of investors they are. Are they a VC, a family office, high net worth individual fund, what is their minimum ticket size, how much they, or their average ticket size, what do they invest in usually, and the last 3 investments that they have made, plus are they interested in token investment or in equity. So they get all this list, they go through it. Let's say, for example,
can we pause there for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Token investment versus equity. What's the difference?
Okay, so if you are a crypto investor, and you have a choice depending on the project that you're looking for. Some projects offer only investment against tokens, so you're not acquiring equity. You're just basically buying tokens from the blockchain startup in the hope that token price will increase when the token is listed on one of the exchanges. But you don't own equity in the.
It's kind of like selling stock before it goes on the stock market.
Exactly. But stocks give you ownership,
Right.
Or a percentage of ownership.
Right.
Yes, tokens don't. They're usually you usually buy token because you believe that the token utilization in the project that you are invested in is really good, and it will increase in value. So so we send all this information. So let's say, for example, if your sponsorship package allows you to have 15 meetings, we ask you to pick 20 investors that you want to meet with, in case somebody drops off at the last minute, and there will always be cases where people drop off at the last minute. So you do your pick and you send it to us. We do the same thing for the investors. We send them a list of the project that are attending the event. We say, this is the project, these are the founders, this is the problem that they are solving, this is how much money they're raising. If they are raising against equity or token as well, if it's against equity, what's the valuation of the company? And the investors will get to pick as well. So, okay, we want to meet these. This looks interesting. They send us the request. We have a software that takes that into consideration and produces a personalized itinerary for everyone attending the event. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it works. I mean, the format works. It's much more effective than just being in a pitch competition where you're pitching to a whole bunch of investors. You don't know if they are interested in you.
You don't like Shark Tank?
Well, this sounds like Shark Tank a little bit, actually. So you just described a value proposition. What was the pain point that you were trying to solve? You make using your words, you say something like the conference and exhibition industry is broken.
Yes.
How is it broken, and what were you solving for?
Sure. It is broken from a sponsor perspective. If you are a sponsor in Dubai, if you want to attend an event or a conference, you can attend a conference, one in the morning, one at noon, and one in the afternoon, if you wish. There are so many conferences out there. They're all, or not all. I mean, some of them are amazing conferences with amazing content, amazing speaker, but a lot of them are with a lot of recycled speakers, recycled content, and recycled attendees. Just the same people that go everywhere, go
just
there.
Simon Sinek over and over again.
Exactly. So basically, what we're saying is, if you are a crypto project and you want to sponsor an event, what we're trying to do is 2 things for you. We are trying to shorten the time cycle for you to find an investor, and we're trying to make it less expensive. So that's our value proposition. It's very easy. It's very clear. If you are to go and look for who are the VCs in the crypto space, who are the funds in the crypto space, who are the family offices that are operating in this space, and then try to reach out to them, and then try to book an appointment with them, and then try to see if you can meet with a decision maker, and then fly to meet this guy in Dubai, and then fly to meet that guy in Hong Kong, and then fly to meet that third guy in Miami. It will take you a full year of full-time work and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that done. What we are offering is we do all the legwork for you guys. You come over a 2-day period. This process will tremendously shorten the time that it will take you to meet those investors, and will make it much less expensive.
Nice. That's definitely a value proposition right there.
Very clear, very crystal clear.
So if Tarker,
getting-
Dan Tarker, who's starting a Tarker coin, wants to, and he's just in his basement where he's where in his room, right where he's at.
I'm in my basement,
Yes.
my lovely basement,
and we are. And what? So can he? Are you an avenue for him? I mean, he's not
Absolutely.
connected to anybody in the. He's a tech guy. What would he contact? Where does that start for someone like Tarker coin?
Sure. I mean, our website is agoragroup.ae. So this is the starting point. And then people can go, and we have all the contact details on the website, so they can approach us for the event. We are very proactive. We are very well connected in the crypto community from all over the world. Most of the projects that come to us are actually referred to us by investors or people who have attended the event previously. We've been able to create a very solid brand and very trustworthy brand in an environment or in an ecosystem that is very famous for its fly-by-night operators.
What?
Unfortunately,
What? I don't believe you. Fly-by-night people in the crypto space.
Yes, unfortunately, and to be honest with you, we've been able to. I mean, we're very proud of that because it is different because that space is still a little bit the wild west, we've been able to build a model that is that has been repeated over and over again. I would be the first one to admit that the first couple of editions we had problems. Our main problem for us as the organizer was not getting revenue from sponsors. Sponsors, if you tell them you're gonna meet investors, they will come. The problem or our major challenge was to identify who are the real investors, and who are not. And in an environment like Dubai, there's a lot of people that are pretending to be, something that they are not. And that process of identifying who are the real investors and only confirming them to come to the event has made the event what it is.
How do you
right
determine that? How do you determine that they're a real investor versus
right
wannabe?
Right now it's very, very easy because we have now our roots in the industry. We know the players. We understand who's who. We even know which VCs now are raising their own funds, so they cannot deploy funds. So they cannot. We don't invite them because we know that they cannot deploy funds. To that extent, we've become extremely well connected and very in the know in the industry. At the beginning, though, the process was extremely painful. We still follow the same process. Even people we know, we get them to sign a contract with us that they are the decision maker in their own organization. That
So
they
they're
are
accountable.
Yes. That they are now that they are actually deploying funds. And usually for the fund deployment, we used to ask people if they can provide us with financial statements, but it became a little bit of an iffy issue because people don't like to disclose this information. However, there are other indicators.
What? I
There
share
are
my
other
bank statement with everybody.
Our presidents share their stuff all the time. What are you talking
Oh
about?
yeah, taxes. Trump had no problem.
Yeah,
sharing
no
his
problem
tax
sharing
statements.
his taxes. It's not an issue, whatever.
So there are other, we ask around, we ask their competitors, their friends, about their situations. We ask also what are the last 3 investments. If they haven't done an investment in 6 months or 8 months, it's a red flag. So there are pieces of the puzzle that you put together, and after you do that, you have a pretty clear picture of who's who.
So we're coming close to the end of the hour, so I definitely want to get into a success story, right? Like, or a couple of things that came out of this process, because we've done a deep dive into it. So what are some success stories? What are some things that you're like really proud that you were able to connect businesses and connections you were able to make for people?
And we want the really secret ones that you're not supposed to tell us about.
Yeah.
Well, I can share some of the big names because it's public over there. We've had some of the largest organizations raise funds through us. Companies like Algorand and Casper Labs and Elrond. Elrond, when they first came to us, they was just still a very small startup, and they were very successful. I would
And what
share
do they do? Because I don't know. What do they do?
yeah, they're a layer one foundation. They layer one blockchain foundation. So they build the actual infrastructure of the blockchain space. However, I mean, we've had a company, and this is probably one of the best stories that that we have, and that was in our first blockchain event, the first ever that we've done. And we got a company where the founder is Spanish and he lives in Mexico. And he called us and he said, I want to come to the event. And he said, okay, great. And he said, what are the available option? And we gave him the available option. And he said, okay, well, I'm still a startup. I can only afford the basic package, and the most basic package. And we said, okay, that's okay, no problem. He said, okay, I'm going to pay half now and then half closer to the event. He said, okay, no problem. He paid half. And then right a couple of days before the event, he calls me and he says, listen, I still don't have the other half. I asked my dad to wire me the money, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to arrive tomorrow. I'm supposed to arrive tomorrow to the event, one day before the event. And I know that you guys have a policy that if the payment is not made, I can't attend the event. So I'm probably going to receive the event on the first day or the second day of the event. I'm going to receive the money. I'm going to pay you in cash during the event. And I was talking to him, like, the guy is like 21 or 22 years old. So I said, that's fine. That's fine. Just come, it's fine. And then he came to the event, and then he did his pitch in the first, our one-to-one meetings are scheduled, one in the morning, one in the afternoon for an hour and a half, and one in the morning, one in the afternoon for the second day. So he did the first meetings in the morning. And then after lunch, he came to me. He said, "Can I go on stage? I just have a very quick announcement to make." I said, "I don't let people on stage like this." He said, "Believe me, you're gonna be happy. Believe me." Okay, that just go on stage with the MC, before we start, and then just say that you want to announce something. And then he went on stage and he announced a $3 million raise in that morning.
Wow.
So that was amazing. And that same person came back to the 10th edition of the event as the title sponsor. So in the first one, he couldn't afford, the basic package. And on the 10th edition, he came up as the title sponsor of the event.
Wow.
So Hadi, what'd you learn from that? What did you learn from that experience?
So what I learned from that is, and this is something that I always try to tell founders, is that the most basic thing that I learned from this is that it is never too early to get in front of investors. And I will explain what I mean. If you are right now just starting the process, you get your team together, you get your MVP, you get your ideas all together, but you're saying, okay, I don't want to talk to investors yet. I need to get this, done before I can go out and start pitching investors, or I need to hire these kind of people before I go to pitch investors. I think that's a major problem. I will tell you why. Because investors, sometimes you think that you are reinventing the wheel, and nobody has ever thought of this great idea that you got, and you're this amazing genius that has just uncovered a gold mine. When you go and you talk to investor, and I encourage you to do that as early as possible, they probably have heard this idea 10 times before.
Right.
They can tweak it for you, and they can guide you. Don't look at investors only as a pool of money. These are people that are pitched day in and day out. They are seasoned professionals. They have
like on Shark Tank.
I mean, they've seen it all. They can say, okay, listen, this would work, but you need to do that. And these small advices can save you years of trying to do it on your own, and trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing again until you get it right. So, and that was the case with this guy. I mean, he has done a lot of work, but he has He was never afraid of going to the investors and say, listen, this is what I got. This is what I've done. I've done a lot of work on this. I've put a lot of money on my own. What is the next step? And one of them was super impressed by him. And he said, okay, you know what? We're going to go as your lead investor. And I wanted to put in 3 million. I think he was seeking around $6 or $7 million dollars back then. And they became their seed investor. So that's an advice I keep telling everybody. And if your idea is crap, the investors will tell you your idea is crap. They're not gonna shy from it. They're not your mom. They're not your best friend. They're not gonna be afraid of hurting your feeling. They're gonna tell you this is not gonna work, and you don't have a business model. And that also can save you a lot of headache and a lot of money and a lot of time in your future endeavors.
Yeah. So that kid who came in at 21 and scored the $3 million investment, what was the investment in? What was his business proposition?
It was a digital marketing agency based on blockchain. It wasn't something that was revolutionizing, healthcare or making man go to Mars. It was a very basic or traditional business, but he found a very clever way of integrating tokens and rewards into a digital marketing agency.
Interesting.
What's your idea on the phrase investors invest in people, not ideas? What's that mean to you?
I think it means a lot, because I think that one of the biggest indicator of success of a business is the founder, who is the person that is behind it, and how driven they are, how smart they are, how committed they are, because it's a lot of hard work. Agora is a startup itself. We started 5 years ago, and I refuse to recognize 2019, 2020, and most of 2021, because we're in the conference business, and there was no conferences at that time.
Right.
So we're a startup ourselves, and I know how hard it is to make a company work.
Philip, my friend, you have joined us. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I joined in because it's the last few minutes before I do the daily crypto news.
Yeah,
Philip is like the Grim Reaper behind me. You know it's almost the end when he arrives.
Yeah, I do the daily news show on here, so I jump in after these guys.
Nice to meet you, Philip.
Yeah,
nice to meet you too. I'm actually raising funds, so everything you just said makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh, we made you a connection. Hello,
Hadi,
Philip, Hadi.
Go to that conference.
This is a conference light going on here.
That was really fascinating what you said about how it's actually okay to tell investors that you did this research and you're having a hard time with certain things. I found that it's really good to be as honest as you possibly can, right? So tell them what's going on, and that's been really useful actually recently.
Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah. I have a question, Hadi, and I think in today's climate, and I'm asking you with like 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be? What's the investment climate like in MENA right now with all that's happening? It seems to be tumultuous. I'll use that word. In 30 seconds, go.
Yes, the MENA region is a huge region. The areas of conflict right now are very far from the center of where the money is. Very briefly, I think MENA region right now is the best place to look for investors. I think the US.
I've heard other people say that. People say that.
The US with the inflation and the debt that keeps climbing like there's no tomorrow. I don't know where you guys are heading, to be honest with you.
Nobody's going to get paid. Milan's right. There's going to be no money.
Europe is old money, and there's movement there, but it's very, very traditional. I think where the money really is right now is in the Middle East and in Southeast Asia. However, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they can just show up with an empty bag and people just start throwing money at them. It's a very different environment. You need to understand the culture. You need to have a long vision kind of an approach when you are in the Middle East. and you need people to guide you through the process. But the money is in the Middle East.
Nice. So people can find you on LinkedIn, because I know we connected on LinkedIn, Hadi.
Yes.
And they can go to your website and
Yes.
connect with you
It
there
is-
as well.
Yes, agoragroup.ae.
Cool. Well, I hope people seek you out and through this episode and go to your conference, apply to go to your conference and get connected with some investors.
Sounds
Thank
very
you, Dan.
interesting. Yeah,
Thank
and
you, Dan.
I agree.
We'd
You need a disruption.
love to invite you for the conference. Let me know if you guys are available on those dates, and we can take this offline. But we'd love to have you with us.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
we'd love
reach
to
out.
come.
We'd love
Okay.
to go and participate somehow.
Maybe even
I
talk
don't
to
have any
people. And
business ideas.
we could do a live show from there. Oh, you do Tarker
Yeah.
Coin. We'll talk about Tarker Coin. so.
Well, as
The launch.
I
You
recently
could do
took
the
over a
ICO.
job as dean of the library, so I'm kind of like thinking of what is the future of library work, right? And because I
yes.
think that's one
Tokenizing
thing
books.
technology has struggled with, because
Right.
really Amazon's putting us out of business. But
Yeah.
I think there's opportunity there.
For anybody who keeps saying, what is the future and where are we gonna heading? I mean, you guys all remember the fact that we're gonna be paperless, right? And that was back in 1993.
Yeah.
That I'm surrounded. I'm looking at the office right now. We're swamped in papers. I mean, I've never used papers as much as I do.
Actually, we produce more paper now.
So exactly.
Got a whole bunch of envelopes right here.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah. No, by no means. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. Philip, I think you should take her away. Hadi, thank you so much for chatting with us today. It's been a fantastic conversation. It's been enlightening.
Thank you, guys. I loved it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And let's
thank you for doing
connect for sure. And thanks
right.
for all right, everybody.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.
Take care,
All right.
Philip. Have a good show.
Thanks. See you guys.
I'll get out of here.